the Bhagavad Gita, and those who are following by the text, we are on the third chapter, 22nd verse. We had briefly discussed this verse, 22nd. I'll read the 22nd and then read the 23rd, and then we will take the subject up in detail. In all the three worlds, O Partha, there is no duty whatsoever for me. There is nothing unachieved that has to be achieved. Still, I am engaged in work. And the next verse is chapter 3, verse 23. For, O Partha, if at any time I do not continue vigilantly in action, people will follow my path in every way. There are a couple of things we need to clear before we can come to this. In the 20th verse, Sri Krishna tells Arjuna, look at those people who are really noble, who are really great in spirituality, and observe their behavior. We had also discussed how we learn by observation, by observing. And that is the principal way we actually learn from our parents, from our teachers, from our friends, from our peers. This whole world, this whole process is learning constantly. So he says, these are the ideal people that you need to emulate, those superior ones. The verse is, 21st is, whatever a superior person does, another does that very thing. Whatever that person upholds as authority, an ordinary person follows that as authority. Here we have a personality that is influential. Through what? Through his or her own nobility. Now the teaching goes one step higher. Well, if you can't really comprehend these people, or you don't have these people around you, I'm here. Now he puts himself, Sri Krishna puts himself as a preeminent example. So he says, in all the three worlds, O Partha, there is no duty whatsoever for me to fulfill. It's a tremendous statement. We have been through all these various verses, and which we'll find Sri Krishna teaching the Bhagavad Gita as an avatar, as an embodied divinity. Then at times he switches on to his identity as a cosmic person. And at times he switches it on to his being, his essential being as the Atman. So here he is putting himself as an avatar. Why should we ever listen to an avatar or whatever? You see, human beings are oriented towards the highest good. Even when we fail to orient ourselves, these are missteps or these are stumbles, these are falls, but we get up again. Our nature is towards this. And what is the highest good? The highest good is the highest ideal, always. And what can be the highest ideal? that which is superior in all respects. So here we have Sri Krishna speaking about himself as Bhagavan. Now, when you say Bhagavan, this word has been kind of uh, used as an honorific by people, as if it's so it can easy to meet those standards of being a Bhagavan. And there are some people who claim to be Bhagavan. That is even worse. So Shankaracharya, in his introduction to the Bhagavad Gita, one of the supreme, you can say, discourses, which he lays down the plan for the whole Bhagavad Gita. He says, Sir Bhagavan, that Bhagavan. The Sanskrit is Jnana Aishwarya Bala Shakti Virya Tejo Bhi Sada Sampanna. That Bhagavan, what is he? He is endowed with the 6 qualities: knowledge, lordship, Aishwarya, Shakti, power, Bala, indomitable will or strength, Teja is effulgence. He's saying Sada Sampanna. These are all always with that Bhagavan. And what is the word Bhaga itself is? Well, if you say, what is Bhaga? That person that has Bhaga has Bhagavan. These are the qualities. Shri Ram Krishna used to say, well, if a Babu, a landlord, doesn't have land, he cannot be considered a landlord. If there is a Bhagavan, the Bhagavan has to have qualities. And these are the qualities. What are the further qualities? Utpattim pralayam chaiva bhutanam agatim gatim vetti vidyam avidyam cha sa Bhagavan iti vachya. So here he says, one who knows the beginning and the end of all beings. One who knows what paths we are all taking, the different paths. One who knows how much knowledge and how much ignorance is there in all beings. This is omniscience. Yes. So we have a personality that appears as a human being, which is omniscient. Who is omniscient? That's why in the Bhagavad Gita, later on, we find Avajananti ma muda, these people, these foolish people do not know me, who have taken a body up. Avajananti ma muda, manushim tanum ashu. Those foolish people do not know me, who have taken a body up. They do not know Param Bhavam, my higher nature, that I am the Lord of all beings, Bhuta Maheshwara. So here you have a Lord of all beings who knows the past, present, future. He knows how much ignorance is there within each of us and how much knowledge is there. He knows when we are going to die, when we are born. He knows, he or she, Bhagavati, every actions of us. Omniscience, omnipotent, omnipresence. That Bhagavan has embodied as a human being, as if embodied as a human being. And that Bhagavan is speaking about it. Then it makes sense when you come across this verse. In all the 3 worlds of Partha, there is no duty whatsoever for me to fulfill. The 3 worlds are this Bhulok, this earth, or the gross, you can say, world. Then we have the Bhuva, the subtle world, and the Swa, the subtler world. So all these worlds are ruled by that being called Bhagavan. So there is no duty for me to fulfill. Yet he says, Because there is nothing unachieved or to be achieved. There's nothing. Because that person is self-fulfilled. Then he says, if at any time I do not continue vigilantly in action, wow, people will follow my path in every way. Here, Sri Krishna as Bhagavan, he is placing himself, in this case, as an ideal to be emulated. It's not easy to become religious in the kind of sense of, oh yes, I did my small duties and I did this and that and all these things. And that's all. I did my prayers. No. You have to orient yourself from this world of ignorance to the world of light, to the world of knowledge. And you need somebody who is going to draw you first towards him or her, and who is ever gracious. We always talk about spirituality is essentially acquired through the grace of God. Yes. And Sri Ramakrishna at times was very, very clear. You need to have grace to even take God's name. That is. So this Bhagavan, as I say, is an ideal. He's telling Arjuna, what's the best ideal in the world? A Hollywood actor? Like we are in Hollywood. Miserable. Or a rich person? What? An athlete? What? Everything finally cancels out. And only one thing remains, which has no worldliness. Every ideal which has a slime of worldliness cannot be the ideal for your soul. It might be the ideal for you for a couple of days or a couple of years when you are immature. But you can see the defects of these ideals. You discard them. You discard all these small ideals and you go towards that. That ideal has to be immortal. It has to be real. It has to be blissful. And it has to make you into that. Immortal, real, and blissful. So that ideal is in a way reflected in you. There is a hunger, there is a search for the real, for the blissful, for the eternal, for immortality. It's embedded in the very soul of all human beings. And it is that ideal we manifest, and we need to have an exemplar. That is why the avatar comes in every age in order to set an example according to the times. So here he has, there's a kind of, the Sanskrit is, the third chapter, 23rd verse is, Yadi hyayam navarteyam jatu karmanyatandritaha mama vartmanuvartante manushya partha sarvashaha. People will follow my example if I simply keep on doing nothing. And we have seen all avatars have been extremely, extremely active people. Everyone. Even if you say their life as an avatar, the mission, their very mission, their few years was very short. In the life of Christ, you see there's a couple of years. In the life of Buddha, of course, you had a huge time. 45 years. We see in the life of Shankaracharya, we have a short life. We have seen the life of Ramakrishna, we had a kind of a short life. when he actively began preaching. That was in his late teens, as you say, after he had finished his as a Guru Bhav. So they have something called the attitude of a teacher. They teach. They have the authority. And Sri Ramakrishna used to tell some of the Pandits, have you got a badge of authority from God? Tell Shashadhar Tarka Chudamani. Badge of authority? No. Chapras? No. Who'll listen to you? Who's going to listen to you? You'll make so much noise, nothing else. So, Sri Ramakrishna also says, one ray of light from God can demolish so many other Pandits. Real knowledge comes from the divine. So here we have Swami Vivekananda being told, yeah, you go and preach. No, not me. Well, you're going to do it for me. And we know he was initially unwilling, but then he did it. At one point of time he says, and I will teach the world, I, a child of God. He became aware of his mission and his authority. That's a tremendous statement. So here we have authority. What's the highest authority? God. Really? Follow me. And that's what we got to do. Follow him. But then the amount of power that they exhibit is tremendous. It's not possible to follow you. No chance. So Sri Ramakrishna says, okay. I've cooked the food. Come down and sit and eat. Okay, there it is. Well, whatever I've done, you do 1/16 of what I've done. Wow! Even that is fantastic. But we see even that 1/16 is huge. So what do you do? Well, go and tell Bhagavan. Well, I want to follow you, but you know how human beings are. You know what's inside me. I'm not made of that stern stuff. Now lift me up and take me across. And that's what the Lord will do. But here he's laying down the idea of himself as an ideal. When does a person, even an embodied being, ever understand that he or she is an ideal? When that embodied being realizes intuitively that the body might appear small and frail and even fragile, but there is a tremendous power there within, and that is the power of the Atman. That person knows himself or herself as the Atman. It's only then can you declare, I am the ideal. But don't be fooled only with the externals. Because as we approach the ideal, you will find it is having higher and higher dimensions within itself. Like there are higher and higher dimensions within you. Oh, within me? I thought I was this. No, you're not that. That higher and higher dimensions of an avatar will unravel the higher and higher dimensions which are in you. You will know this is God. Sri Ramakrishna, about one of his disciples, one of his close disciples, he was a young boy when he came to Sri Ramakrishna. And Sri Ramakrishna, what do you think of me? And he says, you are God. And Sri Ramakrishna was mighty pleased. He could recognize He's saying, such a young boy, see that potential there. He immediately recognized me. Now you have that young boy who had opened or unraveled or unfurled his own dimension, spiritual dimensions. And that's the reason why he could understand that which was in front of him. So simply, oh, you see, I am an ideal, you follow me. That will not do. I'm not going to listen to you. Because time is a great, you can say, judge. What is true will remain. And this ideal, the various ideals placed by God, have been in this world for thousands and thousands of years. And what has it done? Well, it has made those who follow that ideal godlike. It's there. It's just simply a kind of a dismissive saying, yeah, I'm an ideal. Those who have followed the ideal have become godlike. And that's a challenge thrown to all of us. You also can become godlike. And this is what we need to understand. So here he says, like I was saying, there are two levels now spoken of him as an embodied being called an avatar, and one who has an inner, you can say, nature as a lord of all beings. You see, in some of the previous verses, we had spoken about the wheel of Brahman, the Brahma Chakra, that we are all embedded in this wheel, and this wheel is turning. Evam pravartitam chakram. This world wheel is moving and turning and turning and turning. And they say, don't be selfish in this world wheel. When you do something, you do for others. One of the songs that Sri Ramakrishna used to sing was when Sri Krishna is leaving Vrindavan, where he grew up, to become that king in Dwarka. And all the milkmaids there, the girls, they all loved him so much. They were trying to hold the wheel of the chariot. Sri Krishna is seated there, and Uddhava is the charioteer. And they're not letting the chariot move because they're held on to the wheels. So Uddhava says, hold not the wheel, hold not the wheel. Let go the wheel. Because the one who runs the whole world wheel is there. It was his wish that it is time to depart. You won't be able to hold the wheels of a chariot because he runs the whole wheel of the world. So here we are in like cogs, or you can say small pieces in that huge world machine. And the world machine is being turned and turned and turned. Suppose the world machine stops. Well, it will stop, of course, because obviously there will come a time when, and that is the dissolution of the world. It will revive and again start. Who's in charge? Not you and me. We are just small specks on that world machine. So there has to be a power, superior power, that knows everything. That knows everything. That runs the show. So here we have the 24th verse, 3rd chapter, 24th verse. these worlds will be ruined if I do not perform work, and I shall become the cause of the intermingling of various species, and and shall be destroying these beings. So here we have, he is saying, if I don't work, if I don't run this world machine, what is running the world machine? Suppose I have done something, what happens? After a while, I see that whatever I've done, I'm getting the results of that work. It's not going to go to this thing or that thing. It's going to come to me. That's the very strangest thing. Your work the results will go to you. Mine to me. To everyone else, this is the dynamics. The karma and the fruits of karma. Karma and karma phal. They are kind of so interlinked. If you do something, even in your own room, in your own mind, when there's no one, you will see those results coming there. Well, never saw it coming. Well, you never saw it coming, but they are changing your character. If I keep on in my own private world, I keep on thinking noble thoughts, gradually I become more and more noble. The result of that noble thoughts is my nobility. I become more and more noble and more spiritual. Well, is this kind of automatic? Yeah, it's automatic in the sense of God is the giver of the results. If I think of noble thoughts and all the nobility goes to my neighbor, who's going to do this work? I bought a lottery ticket and that guy gets a lottery ticket. The jackpot. Why should I get a... Somewhere we are convinced that whatever I do, I'm going to reap the benefits. As you sow, so shall you reap. Every action has an opposite equal reaction. So here he says, these worlds will be ruined if I do not perform action, if I do not perform karma. That is the Lord's karma. One of the Lord's karma. And in case it does not perform that karma, then he's saying, I shall become the cause or the agent of the intermingling of species or caste, and I shall be destroying these beings. The whole world will be thrown in confusion. There will be an intermingling of things. Things which are supposed to have a distinct personality, a distinct sense of identity. That identity and all these things will be broken up. This brings us to one point which we always, it's a very thorny issue. Every person who is born has something called duty. Well, when you're very young, you do. Yeah, when you're very young, as you keep on growing older, by the time you're 3 and 4 years old, you are supposed to integrate in society. You have been integrating at home with your parents. And the next stage is you've got to integrate yourself with the society. You have to learn social skills. And you keep on developing those social skills gradually over time. You've got to behave like a human being. Suppose you behave like a monster in your kindergarten or on the playground. Nobody's going to come close to you. You will be ostracized automatically. Oh, he's not behaving like a human being. He's behaving like a wild human being. that will kind of alienate anyone else. So over these thousands of years, the rishis, the sages in India, they have asked us to follow certain dictates, certain things which are inevitable when we are born. The first is called Swadharma, one's own dharma. That's important. You have to follow your own dharma. Now, what's my own dharma? Well, if you're a student, you've got to study and not be something else. So, in the old days, we had these schemes laid out of different stages of life called Varna and Ashrama Dharma. If you're a student and now you are going to study, you've got to focus on being a student. And after you be a student, you become teacher, then that's a different kind of duty that's come to your lot. And then you get married or you don't get married. Then you have different sets of duties. You have a duty as a son or a daughter or as a brother or a sister, as a parent, all these things, as a member of society, as a citizen. You have these layered duties. And over and above all, you have something called sadharana dharma. What's that? That is, speak the truth, be compassionate, be loyal. All these things, a whole lot of kind of moral precepts are given that have to be followed in thought, word, and deed. That is sadharana dharma. That is meant for the student, that is meant for the teacher, that's meant for the householder, that's meant for the monk, that's meant for everybody. There is no leeway here. So here we have different levels of duties descending upon an individual. And what is dharma? That which holds everything together. So when you perform your duties, that dharma, you hold everything together. The moment you don't do that, you're going to break things up. And nobody wanted that. The breakup of families, the breakup of communities, the breakup of societies. And this is what we are finding today. There's a tremendous sense of disintegration. And it starts at lowest, you can say, unit. That which was supposed to be the strongest, the family. You have your duties to your father, to your mother, to your brother and your sisters. Not only there, then it went out down to the lower beings, the animals and birds and plants. Yeah, that was also part of your duties. To the gods, to the manis. What's that? I've got to do so many things. Yeah, that's what holds everything together. So this was the idea of dharma. It was a comprehensive, you can say, scheme. What it was leading us to spirituality. It was through all these duties, if it is done in the spirit of karma yoga, would lead us to the highest levels of spirituality. But you've got to take care of these. If I'm going to sit down and meditate for 20 hours a day, and if I can't eradicate that jealousy against my neighbor has got a bigger house and has got a bigger car, well, my 20 hours of meditation is no good at all. You don't love your family, you don't love your brethren, you don't love anybody, and you're going to meditate 20 hours. So they say, do this first, and then you can very easily meditate, and you don't need to meditate for 20 hours. You can meditate for 2 hours and get the results of the everything for a period of years, of course. I don't get into the idea that, oh, it's just 2 hours. I'll work for 20 hours and I'll meditate for 2 hours. Yes, do that for a couple of years, more years. So, work has now become a form of worship. If I am cleaning up after breakfast or lunch or dinner, that work is worship. It is as equal to the worship that I go and do as a puja. I take this sandal paste and these flowers and keep on throwing it here and throwing it there and home, hang, home, hang. That is worship. This is also worship. So this idea of duties has been instilled there in this scheme of things. Now here he says, these worlds will be ruined. The word ruined, it's utside. That is, it will be uprooted rather. These worlds will be uprooted if I do not perform action. Is that embodied person now speaking? No. That higher nature of that embodied being is speaking. That, what's that? As the Lord of all beings there. If that Lord of all being does not work, everything is dead. And you see what happens is, well, you see the great Lord of all beings is active. Can you remain inactive? I bet you can't remain. Your very nature has to follow that divinity. Because there's a spark of divinity within you. You can't be inactive. You might be inactive, you might be tired. That's okay. That's allowable. You regain your strength, or your energy levels go up, you eat, drink, sleep, and then you act. The very word karma means kri, to do, to perform. Everything from the blade of grass to the Brahma, the creator God, as in the Hindu mythology, Brahma Stambha Paryanta, are all working. And we see this over millions and millions and millions of years. Suddenly, when people started becoming more and more active, poverty goes away, knowledge flows through, there's a sense of well-being and prosperity. Holy Mother says, Holy Mother is the best example. Holy Mother says, work is the goddess of fortune. When one works, one's body and mind are healthy. And you know what? Holy Mother was extremely busy, extremely. You won't believe it. From early morning till late night, she used to be extremely busy. And she said, I don't know why these girls nowadays say they don't have time. Well, I did so much. Even in her old age, Holy Mother was. And who's Holy Mother? Well, you know who's Holy Mother? Read about her. She was that great goddess herself. She was a great goddess who embodied as an ordinary rural village, rural woman. How can that be? Yes, that can be, and it was. It happened. Here you have Holy Mother, who was always, she was aware of the whole process of creation, preservation, destruction. You who used to look at all beings, cows, cats, everything, birds, as her own children. Generally, what happens, a mother is identified with the child. Why? Because that child has emerged from her own body. And she is attached to that child. She loves that child. She'll sacrifice her life for that child. We know this. Now, suppose a person comes who says, all beings in the world are my children. And when she asks, even these lower beings, insects, and yes, they're all my beings. That means we all have emerged from her body. She feels that connection with it, with the offspring. And that being, that great being, descended in the form of the Holy Mother. Wow! This is what we are trying to say all through for the last 40 minutes, 42 minutes. How is it possible? As Shankaracharya in his introduction, Swamayaya dehavaniva jata eva lokanugraham kurvaniva lakshate. That through the power of the Bhagavan's own Maya, that Supreme Lord's Maya. As if you're born, as if you're doing good to the world. That was. So here we have these two huge, you can say, ideas. The avatar and the higher nature of an avatar. So these verses are important because, for the simple reason is, the Lord has put Himself, in this case of the Bhagavad Gita, as an ideal to be emulated. Like in Christianity, yeah, take up your cross and follow me. You not come here to sing and dance and follow me. Sorry. Please. Song and dance that side. You want to follow me? Take up your cross. And what's your cross? Well, your cross is your responsibility, your dharmas, your swadharma, your jati dharma, your varna dharma, your rashtra dharma. Yeah, take up that cross. Follow me. Why? Well, because Christ Himself did that. Now, if He wouldn't have done that, you think He would have been a Christ? Or if any avatar who have not gone to the very highest level of sacrifice, do you think they would have been worshipped? No. Oh, this guy, he's a nice guy, he was, having a nice time. And we'll have a nice time. That's religion. No, sorry. Religion is duties. That duties is a sacrifice. So here he's saying the whole world will be destroyed. First, through the admixture of different segments of people and natures, and then the whole of creation. One of the examples given in one of the Upanishad, Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad, it's like the great being, as if with a thunderbolt in his hand, making things run round. The earth, the sun, the moon, and all this, fire burns, water wets, all these things, and death the fifth runs. Wow. He's a kind of overseer of everything that's going on, like clockwork. It should run like a perfect piece of, we can say, system. You cannot have something that is in a disarray. Suppose in this city everything goes off. The police said, okay, fine, we are taking a selfie. The National Guard says, and everybody says, do what you want. You know what's going to happen? There will be no LA in a couple of days. No, impossible. Everything is it's like that being is like a boundary, holds the boundaries of different levels of existence. And that's why you have to make that boundary, cross over that boundary from one level to another. It's a struggle. So he is like that great kind of boundary, keeps these worlds apart, the Upanishad says. Mrityu dhavati panchama. So anyway. So suppose this kind of controlling power, and that's what the word Ishvara means, that which has lordship, control, one who has control, power. Well, if God wasn't like that, we wouldn't have been. So he's trying to make Arjuna understand that these worlds will be uprooted, utsidhir, if I do not perform karma. Why the Lord he's not doing it as a kind of a duty, this and that. We'll come down to it later when we would need further explanations. But the Lord himself is constantly working, and we all beings are constantly working. Every atom, every molecule, every quark, every subatom is in a constant state of motion. Human mind, constantly in motion. Everything is in motion. If the motion stops, everything stops. But then everything is in motion. Yeah, you see the earth moving around the sun, but yet you feel it's not moving. It's moving and yet unmoving. We feel it's unmoving, but it's still moving. And the sun is going around something else, and the whole Milky Way is going around. Everything is moving, and galaxies are moving, and suns and stars, and everything is moving. And now the whole universe is expanding. Everything is moving. So if you're going to keep quiet and say, I'm not going to do anything, well, you won't be able to do that because everything is moving. So what about rest? What about peace? I want peace. Yeah, you want peace. Yeah, you get to the Atman. That is the real peace. The more you're towards the circumference or at the rim of the wheel, the more faster you will rotate. The more you close the gap between that rim of the wheel and the hub of the wheel, that is, you come down the spokes, and the activity is much lesser there. And as you keep on going slowly, deeper and deeper and deeper, you'll find when you come down to the Atman is immovable, achala. There you've got it. Okay? So don't worry about activity. Everything is being active and everything is running. Because it's running, everything is running. Because the Lord is behind everything.
Someone says, even though we are in the lockdown, yes, everything's moving.
Oh, yes. Your mind isn't in a lockdown. Only in deep sleep, when you go to deep sleep, it kind of gets into a lockdown. And then it emerges again after lockdown. Yeah, when you emerge out of the lockdown, obviously, the lockdown is not going to be there forever. See how the activity will go up. Everybody trying to make up for lost ground. And people will be running. Then you see, oh, that's the effect of a lockdown. Wow. You're building up power. You're filling your tank with gas. It's tanked up, just waiting to just turn the ignition and roar.
So why does the whole universe go into lockdown?
Oh, that the whole universe goes into lockdown when? At the time of dissolution. When the whole thing kind of the whole thing which is active now then keeps on fading, slowly, slowly diminishing. And it goes down into a kind of a seed state. And it takes a kind of a rest for a while.
Why does it need to?
Yeah, it is because what happens is you and me and all these guys who are all around, we have to be put in a kind of a what do you call it? A kind of a pigeonhole. Yeah, because we are all going to come out again. Those who have not got liberation in this will have to come back again. Out. So, like the example given is like a seed. The seed, when it's put in the ground, it degenerates, it breaks. And out of that degeneration, that breaking up, it regenerates, it sprouts up. And then it sprouts up and then slowly becomes a tree. So the whole of nature is cyclic. It goes on and on and on and on. We'll stop here for today. We take the 25th verse from next Thursday. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.